So what do you say?
I say, I like it.
No! Is it a yes?
It's always been a yes.
Okay, my love. So today we are going to show you how to make this beautiful jewelry presentation box with very simple tools and very inexpensively. Stop bothering. Good morning, everyone. We are back here in our garage. Not freezing. It is not extremely comfortable yet, but it is not freezing today, right? And I'm here, as always, with Mrs. DIY and Mrs. Elpida. How about that? You like that?
Sure.
And today we're going to do something fun. As you may know, Valentine's Day is approaching, or we hope it's approaching, right? It is on the 14th today. It is February 1st. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through our scrap exotic wood, and we're going to try to make a small presentation jewelry box. How about that? Is that a nice name? Sure. So that you can put the $5 million ring you're going to buy your wife or girlfriend to give to her. And you cannot give it to her on, you can take a 2x4 and make a hole and make a box, but probably you want the box to look a little better than that, right? I am Professor DIY. You are my favorite viewer, and we are going to have a very good episode for you. We are still grossly misorganized, but we found some of our exotic wood remnants, right? So we have here some olive wood, and we have some purple heart, and we have some ebony. And these we're going to use in some combination, we don't know yet, in building our little jewelry presentation box. We have another limitation, and that is 90% of our tools are still in storage, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So today we're only going to use the table saw with our sled. And we're going to use our sled because most of these pieces are small. And it will not be safe to do it otherwise, right?
Okay.
Excellent. So we're going to put the wood aside and we're going to start cutting. So today we took a big piece of olive wood like this and a couple of small pieces of ebony like this, and we build a nice jewelry box like this. Stick around, as always, we're going to show you every step of the way on how to do the same project with very minimal tools. Pieces that they are the same width. I have no idea what the width is, but it is the same. How about that, right?
Yeah.
Our next step is to decide the dimensions of our box, and we're going to talk amongst ourselves on that, right? Because we have to cut it. And we can make a big square box. I mean, that would make a rather big box, right?
Right.
And we can do that. There is no reason not to do that. But hardwood, let's talk a little bit about it. It is called hardwood because the blade has a harder time. No, it's not that why it's called, but because it is hardwood, the blade has a harder time, right? And you could hear the saw working harder. I don't know if it came through in the video, but you could hear the horse working harder, and we could smell it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid there would be a lot of burn marks, and there are not, which is great. But in any case,
yeah. So here you can see a little bit of the saw marks, but it's not burnt, so that's good.
So now we're going to have to cut it again this dimension. A very straightforward operation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to cut it this dimension, and we're going to have the amounts of wood we need initially to do everything we need to do. At this stage, we're using our table saw to cut the pieces to the necessary width and length in order for us to build our project. These are very small pieces, so these cuts can be extremely delicate. Do not do these cuts if you do not feel comfortable, and do not take risks above your skill level. Your safety is your own responsibility. And now we have pieces that they have two dimensions similar, right? They are the same width.
Thickness.
And the same thickness, yes, the same width and the same thickness. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to decide the overall dimensions of the box. Do we want it to be square? We want it to be a parallelogram? So let us decide that. Again, as you can see, we put a lot of thought in this project, like we always do, right? I spent the whole night last night figuring it out, but let us figure it out now, and we'll be back in a moment. This is a pre-dry fit. It's really not even a dry fit yet, right? But this is how we're thinking to make the box fit. And again, we do not have a lot of equipment to cut, so we're going to try to make interesting looking but simple cuts, right? Just straight cuts. So if you can imagine, so we're to cut here and cut there and make the box about this, no, even shorter, right? We said.
Yeah. Make it we're trying to make a square here.
Okay. So this is our general idea, and we're going to mix the ebony with the olive wood, and I think that will look awesome. So the next step is to set our fence here to what we said, 3. And then we need to make sure that there will be a lot of cuts, unfortunately, right? Because they're going to have 2 different dimensions. One of these pieces will be shorter than the other, right? So this will be 3, the full piece, and this will be 2.5, because we're about half an inch thickness, correct?
Yeah, just hair under.
And the same with this, right?
Yep.
We're going to have one piece that is 3 and one piece that is 2.5. So we're going to cut first the 3-inch pieces and then the 2.5-inch pieces.
Okay.
All right. So correction. We need to cut all the pieces 3 inches, right? We do not need to cut them different sizes, because when I was looking about that, I was thinking we needed to be one shorter, one longer, but Mrs. DIY pointed out that really, because they alternate, everything has to be 3 inches, and we just alternate how we put it, right? So forget what we said earlier. That was wrong.
Rubbish.
I could have easily
Rubbish.
What is rubbish? We're not friends.
That's a British.
That's
term.
British, man.
But my accent was French, woman.
Yeah.
So we could have easily just erased that part, but we are transparent here at the Urban Homesteading Honest channel. We changed the name of the channel.
Again?
We want to show you when we mess up, which is frequent actually, right? We do mess up.
Well, you got 3 chiefs in the garage and no Indians, so there's a lots of discussion.
All right, so let's set our sauce so we can do the cut. So we are going to use our, I actually have to be able to
Well,
see.
you wanted me to show them, but then you say you can't see.
Yes, I have to see. So we're setting it at 3 inches, and we're going to lock. And now,
It doesn't matter if it isn't exactly 3 inches because they'll all be the same.
Right. So back to the consistency over accuracy.
yes, it is exactly 3 inches. I mean, this is very accurate, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, as long as they are all the same dimension, that's what is important, right?
Okay.
Now, this is not the best of cuts because, as you can see, we have a longer piece than wider, which is the rule. But it is too short to put a miter gauge, so we have to hand cut it. If you're not being comfortable, we can put it on
I was
the,
gonna say, do you want the sled?
Could use a sled.
Let's use the sled.
but the sled will not give us the dimension, so I prefer to do it.
Now
here.
we'd have to create a stop.
Yeah, and that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with this.
Okay. You want to flip on that?
Well, if I have another one to make. And I have 2 more to make.
Okay.
We have all our pieces, and we're going to make and by we I mean Mrs. DIY, a quick and dirty assembly.
Quick and dirty dry fit.
And we have to, oh no, we have to do a little bit of sanding, folks, because
I really like that.
you really like that, huh?
I think it looks really good.
Excellent. So we're having those small pieces, especially where we cut, sanded. They don't need sanding anywhere else. I don't think so, at least, but
No, but you can see just some little fine hairs because of the blade. And so those are the things we're knocking off.
right. So a little bit of sanding shouldn't take too long. And then we're going to do another dry fit and continue thinking out how we're going to do this using only our saw. How are you today? Excellent. So smaller pieces are harder to glue, actually, believe it or not, than bigger pieces. They're harder to hold together, all of them. So Mrs. DIY and Elpida are going to work together on that because my dexterity is non-existent. So what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on the two surfaces, and then we're going to use painter's tape as our clamping mechanism, right? Mm-hmm. All right, let it begin. So Mrs. DIY will put the glue on and hold the pieces together, and then Elpida will use the tape.
Okay.
So again, the process is theoretically simple. You put glue, and then the other person puts the clamping first together. Now again, you only put glue on one surface. Do not put glue on both surfaces. This is a good time to keep an eye on the clock, right? We will probably let this dry for an hour. 40 minutes is what the Tidebond recommends, but we're going to let it dry for a minute.
A minute?
Yeah, but we're going to do all the gluings first.
What do you want next?
This one.
Okay. You can make a mistake, so just make sure you don't make mistakes, right? You alternate them. And you start seeing, because it's a small piece, it's harder to do and really very difficult, if not impossible, for one person to do. Right, ladies?
Yes, you need 4 hands or 6.
Or 8, as many hands as you want. Actually, our red clamps will be great here, but we have the huge clamps, so.
Yeah.
Interesting, sometimes better is not better. And again, Mrs. DIY using her state-of-the-art glue applicator. No money can buy the equipment we have, right?
Right.
Take your time here. The better your alignment, the better the end result. So do not hurry through this process, as now you're locking everything together, and hurrying through this process will ensure that your final product will not be square or will not be straight. All kinds of problems can arise. We kind of have to hurry because we have to finish the video. We could have gone a little slower. Overall, we didn't do very poorly at all, but the more time we take here, the better your outcome is going to be. Now we let glue dry. So off we go. Where are we going?
Dollar Tree.
We're going Dollar Tree because we do not spare any expense in our projects, right?
Right.
And of course, we're not buying wood in Dollar Tree, or are we buying wood at Dollar
I
Tree?
don't think we're buying wood.
What are we buying at the Dollar Tree, Mrs. DIY?
Something to fill our jewelry box.
All right. I thought we'll put jewelry in the jewelry box.
Yes, but it's something to hold the jewelry instead of just leaving it loose and rattling around in there.
All right. So this is our mission for today. For a change, we're not going to Lowe's or Home Depot. That's our usual Saturday trip, right?
Usual hunt, yes.
So, but we're going to return to the shop and finish our project. And we're taking this opportunity now because we need to let glue dry, right?
And we can be busy instead of just watching it dry.
Right, because it's very exciting to watch glue dry.
Right.
So we're back, and we hope that our box has dried and it will stay in one piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take our tape off. This is riveting cinematography, people. This is about as exciting as watching golf or as watching grass and glue dry.
Grass dry.
Grass grow, glue dry.
Okay.
So this theoretically is a square, right?
Mm-hmm. It's looking pretty square. If it's not completely square, we're really close. Don't you think?
It's a theoretical square.
Theoretical. Maybe it's a square, maybe it's not.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
No sponsors.
Right?
No? Would you turn Maybelline down if they chose to sponsor us?
No.
Okay. Actually, that would be a unique sponsorship.
Right.
Look how good our skin looks even after woodworking. You know, it's like, can make this up. So does it stay together? So far, so good.
Okay.
Now, what is missing to make this a box is a bottom and a top. And that's what we're going to work on next. Going to work on next.
Working to work. I like that one.
Okay. So like we normally do, we're going to use our top, putting it against between our blade and our fence to have the dimension we want. And because it is square, we're going to remove it and cut it on the long side to end up with a square.
And just to clarify, this is the piece that we cut off when we were
From these pieces.
making the thickness correct. So this is the piece that's left, and so we're going to utilize that as our top.
All right? Vacuum, s'il vous plaît.
Some slight adjustments are needed from our last procedure.
We had a procedure.
We did. We were cleaning.
Was it painful?
No.
Okay, a little bit of sanding. This will be our top. And because we are limited on how we can do things today, for our bottom, we're going to take our device here and we're going to mark it inside. Right?
And cut something out.
Yeah.
And are we using this same wood, or are we going to use the other wood that we talked
Oh,
about?
let's decide that.
Yeah.
So we're using the box itself to mark where we need to cut for our bottom, right? And again, we're going to use our table saw because that's the easiest thing we have right now, but you can do it using a bandsaw or anything you have, right?
And now we're going to cover the inside, so this won't be visible when you're looking inside the box. But if you wanted to make one that you weren't going to put any sort of covering on, then you might want to use the same type of wood species.
Maybe.
But since we're covering it, it makes more sense for us to to use a lesser expensive wood.
A lesser expensive?
Yeah.
It doesn't look straight, so we need to make it straight. Well, but this is tilting this way, so I want it to be a little open, a little
Right.
wide.
That's why I'm trying to move it.
Now for the other cut, I cannot do it that way, so we need to be able to
Transfer the mark to the other side so we can flip it.
just on the edge. Now there is a chance as we're cutting this, if you set it then I will lock it. There is a chance as we're cutting this that this piece will fly. So I will position myself a little off to the side so I don't risk getting myself hit in the face.
Okay.
Even though this is light wood, still ideally we don't want to be damaged. So we might need to use some, oh, it fits perfectly. Okay, good. Take it out.
So we have this aligned correctly and it fits in there. And the idea is that we're going to put some super glue on the edges of this.
And it's a really thin piece.
Very
so
thin piece.
you just need a bead of super glue to hold it to the box.
Showing you how thin it is here. Yeah, and so then once the glue is on, this box is going to go over it and set down.
All right, and we're going to use super glue. Right? We said that. I'm sorry.
Yep.
We need to puncture it first. Glue on the edges of the material. We don't want to glue it on the bottom thing, so okay. All right, stop. And once again, we'll transform this on the front so we can align it. Actually, it should be the same, shouldn't it? It's square.
No, we had to adjust it slightly.
But it is square. Why did we adjust it?
Because it's not exactly. It's just slightly different. Like.
And it ain't a square.
Well, but visually, it looks like a square.
I'm going to try it just for you.
Nope.
Which direction?
That way.
You said it, please. I
Well,
cannot
flip
see.
it over because this is where our line is.
That's why you transferred the line, though. Yeah.
Tell me, is it ready to lock? Okay. What I was doing here was just holding the piece so it would not fly this way.
Okay.
It wouldn't hurt anything if it flew, but it better not to, right?
Sure.
All right.
A little bit of sanding to get the little hairs off of there. And then we can align it, right?
So we have our piece, but it's just a little too big to fit in. Not by far, but
overlaps the side of the box there, so we're going to have to take a little bit off.
so we're going to make some micro adjustments.
May not be quite enough. Start with that, right?
Yeah, because
This is almost an 8, honey.
I know.
you can always take off more, but you can't put it back on.
Let's try the side we cut first and see if that can go in the box. Okay, so we need a little more. Not as much as we took.
Okay, so we'll continue to adjust and show you.
So I want to make a couple of points before I say what we're doing. I want to say that this is not really a safe cut, right? If you're not comfortable, please don't do that. Use a handsaw. I know that neither Mrs. DIY or LP that will do this cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel comfortable doing it, but that doesn't make it a safe cut for you. I feel safe doing it, but it is not really, definitely not a novice cut. If it is making you nervous, don't do it. So the idea behind what we're doing with this piece, is it this piece?
Yep.
Okay.
This piece. the
With
smaller
this piece, is that we are going to use it. So when we are making our we're checking it out to make sure that our piece is correct. We might have to make a couple of corrections on our top.
Yeah, orientation is important here, but it does fit. And
so
the idea is that that piece that we put in is a support to support this.
So let's start it. Please put it over there. All right. Just a little bit of. So what we are doing is using sanding versus using the saw, because the saw is just too aggressive. And we're going to do that until our box, the lid folds it. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. So we're going to take it a little bit at a time until we have the perfect fit.
Okay, so we have this piece in the bottom. This is a very thin piece that we used, and to make our support essentially for the lid, we marked the piece of wood that we put in there and then adjusted for the piece that's going to go on. And so to test that fitment, we have put a piece of the bottom on there. Now we're using our support, and then we're putting our lid piece there, and it is absolutely even, so it's going to be perfect.
It's gonna be flush.
And then when this goes on top, it's going to glue very nicely to this. Yep. And so now the support is in there. We're going to fit our lid closure inside. And it's a pretty snug fit, not like super tight because you don't want it to come apart from the lid top, but it is pretty snug. And now we're going to put some super glue on there.
And the next step has to happen fast, right?
Yep. So we'll put super glue on there, then we will align the top. We're going to want to make sure that we have it aligned, and we've chosen the correct side for the top that we prefer, just for grain.
So put super glue here, maybe a circle. Doesn't need huge amounts, but it needs enough to hold it. Okay? Try to, you have a few seconds working time, so try to have it as center as you can.
Yep. And then it should hold for what, 10, 15 seconds?
Yeah.
Super glue works very, very fast.
Super glue is super.
Yeah, and already this is looking really nice because of the difference in the color of wood, and then also this wood grain that goes at this angle. And then as you come around, you'll see the opposite kind of look where you've got the grain going horizontally and then the dark going vertically. It's a really, really nice contrast on this box. Okay, so all those super glue pretty much sets pretty quickly. We're gonna leave some weight on it here, and so this is our very expensive weight system. We just want to make sure that we're not rushing it so that those two pieces don't come apart. And
our super glue is nothing special, it's the original super glue. And we bought it at the dollar store, Dollar Tree. Harbor Freight has really good super glue for 99 cents as well. Mm-hmm. But I prefer these smaller containers because in general, you waste most of your super glue when you buy big ones, right?
Because the big ones tend to dry up before you can use it all. Yeah.
So nothing really special here. And again, you can leave it overnight with normal wood. We want to finish, so that's why we're using super glue.
Okay, the moment of truth. We've allowed this time to dry. Gonna see if it comes out. Woohoo! Look at how nice that looks. The grain lines up really well as well. And so that is awesome.
Now we can take the middle thing in.
The support. That worked really well.
And I wanted to see, I know we're finished now, but I wanted to see if a contrast in the bottle will make it better or worse. We didn't go this way, but that was one of the options we were thinking, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think, babe?
No, because you would only have the dark edge of this for one side.
Well, not for this. Well,
No, on
Yeah.
this you would have a very light colored contrast, and I don't think that would look good.
okay.
Yeah.
We didn't do it anyway. It was one of the things we were contemplating, right?
Right.
And now to complete the project, we need to do arts and crafts, right? Okay.
Very high tech. We wanted something that would be soft, but yet sturdy to put the rings in if you had a ring and you were presenting in this box. So we needed some sort of foam. We opted for these foam rollers that we got at the dollar store. Because they're $1.25 and you get 8 of them, and you can cut them, you can fit them in a box even if it isn't exactly the same dimension. It should work and provide enough stability to keep the ring in place, right? And then we looked for, we don't want them to be a foamy pink color. That is a little childish anyway. So we looked for some fabric, and we found these satin hair scrunchies that looked to be, just about the right dimension. Two pretty colors we can choose from to wrap these in and have a nice bed for those rings. So we're going to take a look at how we're going to do that.
So go ahead.
We have inserted one foam curler into the tube that was the scrunchie. And we've left the ends open right now, but we're going to make sure that those are glued down in some fashion so that they don't open. And we'll show you that, fortunately, this is just about the exact right size for this foam roller to go in.
Because our planning was impeccable.
Impeccable.
Yes.
It'll take a little work to get it stuffed down in there so that the roller isn't rolling up into a ball, but
and just to talk through this is a round hair scrunchie that women use on their hair to hold their hair back. It is in a circle. It does have a piece of elastic in it, but you can cut it and then it becomes the long tube that you're seeing here. The elastic goes down to one end because you've cut the elastic as well, and then you just have the fabric tube, which works just about perfectly for our purposes today. And once you get it in there, leave a little bit on either end.
And put the double glue.
And then you're going to cut it with, again, just a little bit of extra to make sure that you can tuck it in and make it look correct in your box.
made a little egg roll.
Yes. And so then we will take a little bit of super glue and glue the ends.
But don't glue your finger in.
Yes.
Really? I would like to do that, actually.
Yeah, be careful with the super glue because it do glue. There's some on the L, yeah. Use tools when needed. And so we're going to do that on the other three ends, and then we're going to place them in the box.
Yeah, we're going to finish the box right now before we insert the, what did they call the things we made?
Egg rolls.
Egg rolls? Well, I don't know. Tacos and gyro. And we're using, again, very expensive equipment here.
Our raised bed.
In our paint booth with the raised bed for comfort and everything, right? Mm-hmm. And we decided to go with shellac, you know. Mm-hmm. That should bring the grain out and make it look really nice. But while we're waiting for the shellacking process, you can see the top is very, very simply made, right? Mm-hmm. All the cuts for this, as we said before, are straight cuts. You can make them with a simple hand saw, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you don't need to finish and post something like we do. Of course, the hair episode made it much faster, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to shellac everything. We're going to shellac the top, and we're shellacking the box.
Right, so the final decision was polyacrylic that we're going to use to bring out the grain on this box.
The grain on the box. The grain on the box. I don't think Ebony has a lot of grain, but it should make it deeper,
Give
right?
it, yeah, and give it a little bit of a...
Now the olive wood should look good.
Yeah.
Oh, yay. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at that.
Beautiful.
That really makes a difference, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And you can see side by side the unfinished versus the with the one coat. Looks really, really nice.
And of course, Mrs. DIY is hiding from us what she's doing, so we cannot see it.
That's all right.
Around in a minute.
It's all right. We'll see it.
What does it do on the ebony? That's what I'm looking for.
Shiny.
It makes it deeper, doesn't it? Very
Yes.
nice. Very nice.
All right.
Yes.
We'll come back and show you when we are finished.
It is amazing how much of a difference immediately it makes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, the idea when you do something like that is to use contrasting woods, right?
Mm-hmm.
So don't use too dark woods. We're almost in too dark wood here. I mean, the olive wood is not considered a bright light wood, but it is light enough to have a nice contrast here, right?
Well, and because olive wood has this beautiful grain, there's tons of grain here that really looks great.
So we always talk to you about how much it costs us to do things, right? And we already said this is scrap, but this is not scrap from projects we did. We bought the broker, and they actually charge you per pound. They don't charge you based on what wood it is. So the material here, the wood that we spent here, even though it's expensive wood, ebony and olive wood, and we didn't use the purple heart. We didn't think it would look good for our project. But the material was not even $1, right? Because the pound that we bought, I mean, that was not even definitely not a pound of wood, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's say literally $1 for wood. And then the Dollar Tree things, we used only 2 out of how many
8.
rollers? 8. And those are all $1.25, right? We used one of the 2 tubes of super glue. That was $1.25, so that is 60 cents, right? So the material we bought from
And the scrunchie was another $1.25, but we used like half of it.
right. So $2 from the Dollar Tree, and $1 for wood, $3 for a pretty decent little jewelry box, presentation box, right?
Yeah.
And we're waiting for the thing to dry right now.
And we've put it in front of our state-of-the-art dryer.
Oh yes, because again, no expense,
right?
Too great for us.
And then we're going to do another coat of the poly, correct?
So ladies, what was the learnings from today's? Interesting.
The learnings we made was that the ebony wood that we used, we should have created a straight edge on the original cut.
But it looks straighter, Peter.
It did, but then when you tried to put it together, lo and behold, it wasn't. It was not square.
Especially on a small piece like that, that becomes visible, right?
Right.
You have no flexibility to push it or anything like that. You're stuck with it. Again, for a handmade gift to give to your loved one, your sweetheart, not a big deal. I don't think any person would say, oh, that's not quite square. But if you are making those to sell, and you could, it is a great project to sell, especially on Valentines. You want it to be perfectly square, because in that other box, you cannot hide it.
Right.
So what we learn is we need to spare wood even when we buy it from local or anywhere. Anything else you learned?
The way we had to cut the wood, because they were such small pieces, it would have been much better, I believe, on another type of saw. Like if we had our bandsaw with the
guide,
the what do you call it? No, the thing
arm.
that
The arm.
off there.
The fence.
The fence. Thank you. We have a fence for our bandsaw that would have been much more easy and safe and precise cut for us.
So this, however, is a project you can do using just a handsaw, right? You don't really need a lot of tools.
We probably could have done them with the Japanese saws we have.
Yeah.
Because the pieces are so small, and those blades, the kerf of them are pretty small too. So.
And even with a oak blade, we didn't waste any material.
We really didn't. No, we made.
In fact, when you look at, especially for Ebony, you say, I can do nothing with this. This is too little, right?
Right.
But in reality, you can make nice little projects. So never throw especially this kind of wood, right? Because I'm looking at this right now and saying, what can I possibly make for this? But I bet you that's enough wood to make a Purple Heart box.
Probably.
Probably have to cut it in half and half, like make 4 pieces out of it, right?
Or even cross cut too to
Yeah,
make
I
it
mean,
thinner, because it's like a 3/4 inch board, right?
right. Or even using it like this, you can make a nice plug. Like I can take that to our laser and put a hydrometer on it or something like that and make it a nice display office thing, right? So these, I think, are very, very useful. Going to Oakland and getting the wood for virtually nothing is a great way to acquire wood that ebony is very expensive. Olive wood is not very expensive, but it is expensive. Let's face it, every wood is expensive. 2x4s are expensive. So
Yes.
when you go, I could not buy a 2x4 made from ebony. Couldn't afford it, right? Even olive wood would be expensive. So going to places like Rockler that allow you to buy by the pound, offcuts and things like that is a great way to acquire some interesting wood and step up your game with hardwoods and exotic woods that otherwise you wouldn't be able to afford.
And so what they have at Rockler is like a ginormous cardboard bin where they just have all these offcut pieces from larger projects that people have used. And instead of just scrapping this, they sell it as an aftermarket sort of thing, so that you can go and test out your skill at these
And
different
again, they
types of
sell it
wood.
per pound.
Yeah.
So it makes no difference. Like if I wanted to buy all Purple Heart and they have enough pieces, it will be the same cost. They don't care what species it is.
Right.
We chose different species because we wanted to play with different species. But if you find enough for a species, and if you spend time, you might find pieces that almost cut the dimension you want, right? I remember when we did it, there were all kinds of different sizes and shapes and thicknesses.
Right. And for the price, definitely a great deal.
Right.
Now we're placing our foam inserts. And again, because they are foam, they're easy to manipulate to get into the space, and they're going to hold it very nicely. And then we can find a ring to put in there to show you how that works.
So this is our box. And as you can see, we designed it to be extremely easy. A beginner could make this project. Would you agree, Elvira?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it has a very nice fit, friction fit top, as you can see. And here is our, I don't know what those things are called, to hold your ring.
It's just an insert that's typical in women's jewelry boxes.
Excellent. So today, this is our project. And it is a project that can be completed using a hand saw and nothing else. Every cut is a straight cut. Now, if you have the tools, you can make miters, right? Or you can even make dovetails. You can take that to the next level. But for a beginner woodworker that likes to give something to his loved one for Valentines, this is a great little jewelry box that you can do easily in an afternoon, even with hand tools, right?
Yeah.
So in today's episode, we're going to use our table saw, but you can use a saw like this or a saw like this to get the same result, which is a nice, a beautiful box like this. So while we're using our table saw for the episode today, we have designed it so anyone can do it even with a hand saw. The pieces are small, fast to cut, and really everything is 40 degrees.
40 degrees.
Everything is 90 degrees. There is no need for any exotic cuts or anything, right? So this is a great tool a great project to start if you're a beginner woodworker and you want to give someone to remember you. If you have a laser, that would be a very nice personalized gift by lasering to the top. Or if you sell them, if you make them and sell them, what a great touch that would be to laser it, right?
Right. Monograms or a
Correct.
flower, birth flower.
Monograms so
like
big.
Yeah.
Great projects to make some money. After we finish formally filming, Mrs. DIY is applying a second coat of the poly that will make the piece a little more shiny.
It does not really change, as you can see, the overall look
Most
of the piece,
excellent.
but it will change the signness, and this is something that